Welcome to Grover Load. I'm Anthony, and there's been some announcements here at CES. Well, I guess I'm not at CES, but Nvidia and AMD are making some announcements on some new products here, and let's just dive in and take a look at them. We'll start off with Nvidia because Nvidia went first, so they get the privilege of, well, being first here. And we have the 4070 Ti, or the 4080 12 gig as it was unlaunched as to the 4070 Ti, and that is now on the market. There is no MSRP was actually a little bit lower than what I thought. Well, than what I thought they'd actually try to go for the jugular, but they didn't. They decided to be $100 cheaper at $799 here, $800, and there's no like official like MSRP on this. As you can see, I loaded this page a little bit earlier, and the 799 SKUs are sold out here, but you can see, some of these other SKUs either were sold out or they didn't really have that many. But there's still some of these SKUs in stock for, 840, 850, 850, 899, and so on, about $900. So AMD, I believe the 7900 XT dropped a little bit in price to 880. So not a really big discount, but it almost seems like that $800 price point of this, if you can find it, is what you're going to get. Now you're going about 3090 performance tier still, so something to keep in mind in the reviews I was looking at. And Nvidia released this product, right? I could go on about the prices, everything else, but here it is, right? uh, I think you guys all know what my feelings are about these graphics prices at this point in time, and I could, like I said, I could go on about it, but I'm just going to leave it as it is at this time. So, um, yeah, we'll jump into something maybe a little bit more interesting here, and something I kind of want to talk about more of than a graphics card that's also still expensive, where I like to see these prices come down a bit. For the performance where it's at, you're going to be competing against yourself or the last generation. Okay, so let's actually go to something there's a little bit more, but AMD announced the, let's see here, the 3D V-Cache models for the 7950 3D, as well as the 7900 and the 7800 3D, which makes these kind of interesting. Whoops. Let's see here. I did not mean to switch on you guys. Just trying to get back to here, but let's see here. I think we got it all. No, yep, we're on the right screen now. Okay. So you see, it's kind of interesting when you have the 7800 X3D, your base or your max boost clock is up to 5 gigahertz. So that's a step down from the 7700, which is 5.4 on those 8 gigs and threads. But you do have that extra cache on there that's stacked on top. What's interesting with the 7800 and the 7950 X3D is that they're using one cache die, and then the other die is actually a normal CCD without the cache on top. That's why you're getting that 5.7 gigahertz boost on the 7950 and 5.6 on the 7900 3D parts, which I find very interesting overall, and something that we're going to have to pay attention to on the scheduling side. So if Windows can figure this out, this is going to be really fun to kind of watch and see, right? And with counters and everything else on the CPU side, hopefully they make it intelligent enough that they're not just hard coding, hey, if it's this game, then do this. But if they make it intelligent enough, you're going to see workloads that probably go to whichever one is most beneficial. And if you really do it right and get this down pat, I have a background in software development, is that you may see different processes that are stuck onto the cache die, and other ones that might want to be more on the high performance single threaded die. And that, as long as the communication in those isn't detriment in the long run. I think that you might see different processes in a program or even in a game, depending upon where it needs to be. And Intel already started this on the x86 side with energy efficient and performance cores. You've had this on ARM, now you have it on AMD. ARM has even different clocked cores. So you start looking at this and going down the road, what if Windows can get it right? The big if there, but if they can get it right, you can maybe start even seeing better performance out of games or out of different workloads that stick to their cache cores, or stick to the speed cores, depending on what they need to do. Now AMD says that you can communicate, the speed cores can communicate back to the cache core, but you're going to take a latency hit there. So that's actually some really interesting stuff here. That your base clocks are down a little bit, but these processors, we'll see where they turn out to be in gaming and everything else. We're starting to hit some of the limits. I do expect some 1% lows to probably be a little bit better with the cache dies as they were for the 5800 X3D. But I'm excited to see the third-party results. AMD has their slides. I'm waiting for third-party results after what they did with the 7800 XTX. I'll come back and revisit maybe that they'll do something different there. But let's jump over to, this is their page on the 7900. One thing I do want to point out here is that if you look at the overclocking, it looks like you're just going to be stuck with what AMD is. Where is this? You're stuck with kind of, you're not going to be able to really overclock this. Now your TJ max temperature is 89 degrees C. Default TDP is 120 watts, so it's a lot lower than the regular 7950. But I can't remember where I saw this now. But overclocking doesn't look like you're going to get the full overclocking like you do with the other processors. Maybe it's underneath specifications. No idea why the computer's deciding to go really freaking slow. Hopefully I just make it through the recording without it deciding to crash on me. Windows. Specifications here. Yeah, so this is the full specifications. But yeah, so I find that pretty interesting overall what they're doing here with it. But let's jump into, so that's the desktop side. Really excited for the desktop side. Let's talk a little bit about the AMD also announced the mobile side, and this is, I thought it was down at the bottom of the page here, the 7040 series of, they have a 7000 series, but they call it the 7040 on stage. This is kind of interesting, right? They have a 7945HX, which is a 16 core 32 thread. It looks like that they are doing some different RDNA stuff here. If you start looking down here, you see the graphics models of like 610 and 780. So I'm guessing that they have some RDNA 2, maybe somebody can correct me here, and some RDNA 3. But they have everything from 8 core 16 threads on these HS processors all the way up to, the HX have 16 cores, 32 threads, 5.4 gigahertz boost. And these HX, you'd be putting another type of GPU with it, right? It has only 2 graphics cores, but the kind of these HS ones, you have 12 graphics core counts here, and that's kind of interesting. I was reading someplace too is that some of these do hit 3 gigahertz of boost on the graphics core. That is some interesting stuff here. I know that there are some people that want desktop replacements that friends and such, for what their work that they're doing. These would be kind of some good models to even look at here now that they're going to be coming out here this year. Especially if you run a business and you're looking for something to give an employee that has some power and they work on the laptop, right? If they don't work on a laptop, work on a VM or something else, right? You're just using it as a terminal. But these are, especially with a good paired graphics card, these are going to be some really nice laptops for as long as they get the cooling down for these people. So I'm really impressed with this. They also have XDNA. So now we're starting to see the Xilinx purchase be integrated into this, and that's one thing I've been waiting for. Like to see that with the desktop side too. depending upon how they're doing that, I wonder if they are, if it's more close to the core. I think these are all still monolithic, but if they do that on like a desktop side, or do they just add another chiplet in there of, your accelerators here? They brought on Panos Panay, which, yeah, he's head of in the Windows team, Surface, all that stuff. I believe still to this day, I've kind of lost track because it's Windows 11 has not been a great experience. Um, kind of, kind of the direction. Sure, AMD did it right to get some recognition or whatever else, but yeah, I wasn't too thrilled. So just something to keep in mind there. But we got a lot of these processors with this XDNA now for those accelerators. And it's going to be interesting to see how they are used and how even OSs can take advantage of it. Because if you're going to rely on software developers, it may take a while. It has to be something where there can be a return on investment. I like to see more of this, but if you can get it integrated with with an OS taking advantage of it too, I think that there's going to be a lot more there. So let's jump over to the They also had RX 7000 series graphics. So I believe this is based off of Navi 33. Now I believe here, yeah, the 7600M XT and M, which you have 23 compute units and 8 gigs of RAM, 2300 megahertz boost, and you also have the 7700S and um, 7600S. So you got 32 compute units there. So same type of thing. I don't remember the difference between M and S. AMD's screwing with their naming, but um, you have a lot of this stuff here going on, and hopefully you're not going to see the same types of issues, and we'll see once we get one of these uh, tested by third-party benchmarks how it's kind of landing. And these are mobile side stuff, but you're starting to see some of the more RDNA 3 be released, so we should get an understanding more of where the product lineups are based upon 6000 series, and if there's was an issue somehow with that 7900 series that has already been out. So that is basically the breakdown here of what AMD and Nvidia kind of announced. I know they announced other stuff, server stuff, AI, whatever else. I'm really just leaving that. Just, you know, I'm excited to see where AMD kind of is with the 7000 mobile. I think they have an opportunity to take more market share there from Intel. Intel's still crushing it, right? I said this before. Intel does not want to give up mobile at all, and one day, one day they'll stop getting there, right? Um, if AMD keeps up this full court press on mobile, and it's going to take more and more chips, right? Every single time you get market share, more chips are going to be sold the next time, and etc. So, good move there. I think it's good for competition. I think we're going to have better products because of this. They did talk about good battery life and stuff. I'm not going to even really go into how good it is because I like to get one to really test it out. Who knows? Maybe I'll have an opportunity to test one of these out here. Um, we'll see. If I do, I'll let you guys know. If not, well, you guys won't get that. But then you also have that 4070 Ti, and that's an interesting card, right? It matches 3090. It's really going to come down to price, what you really want to buy. And if you want to lay out the money, we're not in great economic times. We're in this weird market where they still think that they can push based upon what's already happened in the market in the past couple of years. And I think the market at some point is going to have to correct itself, or people are just going to sit and wait for, like, there's going to be people in me that are going to say, okay, used car's good enough. There's going to be other people where the price of what they already have, because they already spent a lot of money, they're not going to upgrade right away, and they're just going to be not interested in that upgrade because of where they're at. So it's going to be, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. But then the desktop processor, I'm really interested to see what AMD did with the X3D models. They came out with the non-X SKUs for lower wattage, but that I wouldn't mind throwing into a media center box or something like that just to test it out. But I really wanted to see where the X3D parts really kind of go. Are they worth an upgrade? And then are they worth something if you want to get into the AM5 platform? that's something you should jump on, or are AMD going to price themselves out of that market? So really, you got it's a tougher decision, right? And those are type of things that I like to see happen. So with that, I want to say thank you guys for watching. Thank you for taking the time to help support Graven and Load and help this channel grow. I really appreciate it. Until next time, God bless, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.